The world of supply chain, it feels more chaotic than ever, right? Well, today, we're going to unpack a roadmap for the future. This is all based on a really deep dive report from the Association for Supply Chain Management. So if you're trying to figure out what's coming next and how in the world to prepare for it, you are in the right place. I mean, it feels like every single day brings a new disruption, doesn't it? You've got geopolitical shifts, crazy climate events, material shortages, the list goes on. The only thing we can actually count on is that we can't count on anything. And this isn't just some passing phase. Nope. This is the new normal, the new baseline for how business gets done. So that's the million-dollar question, isn't it? If you can't predict what's around the corner, how on earth do you build a supply chain that doesn't just survive, but actually thrives? I mean, where do you even start? Where do you put your time, your money, your energy? Well, that's the exact question the Association for Supply Chain Management, or ASCM, set out to answer. They pulled together this global team of absolute experts to create a real, data-driven guide to help us navigate all this chaos. So let's dive in and see what they found out. Okay, first things first. We have to get our heads around the new landscape we're all playing in. This isn't about a few temporary bumps in the road anymore. We're talking about a fundamental, tectonic shift in how supply chains even work. And the report uses some really powerful language here. It says disruptions are alarmingly common. Just think about that for a second. Alarmingly common. That signals a huge shift in our mindset, right? We have to stop treating these things as once-in-a-blue-moon crises and start accepting them as just part of the deal. And that's why having a solid strategy, it's not a nice-to-have anymore. It's an absolute must. So you might be wondering, how did they even come up with these trends? Let me tell you, this wasn't just a few people in a room brainstorming. No way. This was a massive, massive undertaking. We're talking a global team digging through more than 200 different high-quality sources, pulling out hundreds and hundreds of subtrends, and then putting them through this super rigorous process to rank them and boil it all down to the final top 10 that really matter. And after all that incredible work, a really clear picture started to emerge. Check this out. Artificial intelligence, or AI, is way out in front. It's got a criticality score of 68.18. I mean, that puts it in a whole different league. But right behind it, you've got this huge external force of global trade and geopolitics, and the powerful internal engine of big data. These three, they're the big ones, shaping literally everything else. Now, what's really interesting is that those top trends, they actually form our first big theme. We can group a few of them together into what we can think of as the AI-powered brain. This is the intelligent digital core that is becoming absolutely essential for any supply chain that wants to have a future. And this brain, it's not just one single thing, it's a whole interconnected system. Think of it like this. AI is the intelligence, right? Big data and analytics, that's all the knowledge it learns from. And then digital integration and connectivity, that's the nervous system that connects every single part and makes it all work together. So when we say AI, what do we actually mean in this context? We're talking about real practical stuff, using machine learning for smarter sourcing, getting way more accurate with demand forecasting, even automating physical jobs with robotics and computer vision. It's really about making every single decision point in the supply chain smarter. But, and this is a huge but, here's the key takeaway. AI can't do its job in a vacuum. It just can't. As one of the experts, Mike Moet, put it so well, you have to stitch all of your different systems together. So big data is the fuel that makes the AI engine run. And digital integration, well, that's the plumbing that makes sure everything flows together, giving you that one single source of truth you absolutely need. All right, so you've built this amazing, intelligent brain. Fantastic. But what about that chaotic world we talked about hammering on your door from the outside? Well, that brings us perfectly to our second big theme, building a truly resilient global network, one that's designed to take those punches and keep on going. Yeah, this group of trends is all about building up your defenses. It's about learning to navigate the tricky waters of geopolitics, locking down your digital assets against cyber threats, forging rock-solid relationships with your suppliers, and of course, having a proactive risk management plan ready to go at a moment's notice. And get this, global trade and geopolitics, last year it wasn't even the top 5. This year, it shot all the way up to number 2. That's a huge jump. One of the experts, Lucille Doctor, says it's because companies are now getting proactive.
They're actually preparing for things like Tariff 2.0. They're moving from a defensive crouch into a much more strategic, offensive stance. It's a bit of a double-edged sword. As we build that super smart, connected brain we were just talking about, we're also creating more doors and windows for bad actors to try and get in. That's why cybersecurity has become so critical. It's not just an IT issue tucked away in a back room anymore. Oh no, it is a fundamental supply chain resilience issue. It's about protecting against everything from a simple data breach to a catastrophic, full-on operational shutdown. Okay, so we've got the smart digital brain, we've got the tough, resilient network. But you know what? None of that matters one bit if you don't have the right people and processes on the ground to make it all work. And that brings us to our third and final theme, creating an agile, human-centric operation. This is really where the rubber meets the road, folks. This is all about building the agility to pivot on a dime when a crisis hits. It's about having that crystal clear end-to-end visibility so you know exactly where everything is, all the time. And maybe most critically, it's about investing in your people, making sure your workforce is evolving right alongside all this new tech. And that idea of workforce evolution, it brings up a really fascinating and important debate. What does all this AI actually mean for jobs? You've got two different perspectives from the experts here. On one side, you have Armand van Oostrom, who says, look, AI is going to replace some jobs, and the real tension is figuring out how to transition our current labor force. But then Mike Moat pushes back and says, hey, we're still going to need human brains and intellect. We are live and kicking in supply chain. The reality, it's probably somewhere in the middle. Not just a replacement of jobs, but a total transformation of roles. So let's recap. We've walked through the intelligent brain, the resilient network, and the agile operation. The big question for you now is, what do you do with all this? How do you take these massive trends and actually connect them to your strategy right now? And if you remember one thing from all of this, let it be this. You can't just pick one of these trends off the shelf and call it a day. They don't exist in a vacuum. They're all part of one single interconnected system. You need a secure network to support a smart brain. You need a resilient network to allow for an agile operation. See? Everything is connected. This chart here does a brilliant job of showing that system-wide impact. It uses something called the SCORE model, which is basically a standard playbook for supply chains to show how these trends hit every single stage. Just look at AI. Trend number 1. High impact on plan, high on source, high on fulfill, high on return. It's everywhere. It just goes to show true transformation isn't about tweaking one little thing. It touches everything. And all of this leaves us with one final, pretty provocative thought. The trends give us the roadmap. The technology, it's here, it's ready to go. But is the tech really the biggest hurdle we face? Or is the real challenge something much more human? Is it about our organizational culture, our mindset, and our collective willingness to actually do the work and transform? That's the question I want to leave you with.